This summit was convened as a sequel to the recent summit held on July 30, 2023. It followed the illegal detention of President Mohamed Bazoum by members of the Presidential Guard in Niger on July 26, 2023.
After considering the memorandum presented by the ECOWAS Commission President on the current situation in Niger and ECOWAS's engagement since the last extraordinary summit, including the reports of the special envoys of the chair to Niger and various other places, ECOWAS carefully considered the report and recommendations of the ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff on the latest development in Niger. ECOWAS, in resolving the crisis, has been defiantly repelled by the military leadership of Niger, taking note of the expiration of the one-week ultimatum given for the restoration of constitutional order. Its decisions are to reiterate its strong condemnation of the attempted coup d'etat and the continued illegal detention of President Mohamed Bazoum, his family, and members of his government. Also, to further condemn the condition in which President Bazoum is being detained and hold the CNSP fully and solely responsible for the safety, security and physical integrity of President Bazoum and members of his family and government, uphold all measures and principles agreed upon at the extraordinary summit held on Niger, underscore the determination of the ECOWAS authority to keep all options on the table for the peaceful resolution of the crisis, enforce all measures, in particular border closure and strict travel bans and asset freeze on all persons or groups of individuals whose actions hinder all peace efforts aimed at ensuring the smooth and complete restoration of constitutional order. ECOWAS Chair and President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, warned member states whose actions directly or indirectly hinder the peace resolution of the crisis in Niger to desist from the act. He called on the African Union to endorse all the decisions taken by ECOWAS on the situation in Niger, to further call on all partner countries and institutions, including the United Nations, to support ECOWAS in its efforts to ensure a quick restoration of constitutional order.
The outcome of that meeting, as well as a memorandum by the President of the ECOWAS Commission on current socio-political development in Niger, will be presented during this summit. This will offer critical insight that will inform our collective decision-making process at this meeting. Today's summit provide a significant opportunity for meticulously reviewing and assessing the progress made since our last gathering.
He said this is in conformity with its normative instrument as it directs the President of the Commission to monitor the implementation of the sanctions, direct the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff to immediately activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements, order the deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger, and underscore its continued commitment to the restoration of constitutional order through peaceful means.
West African leaders have approved the deployment of a standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger, an intervention that would take place as soon as possible. The ECOWAS regional bloc did not provide details on the force to be deployed or the timetable for action against the military officers who seized control of Niger 2 weeks ago, disposing Mohamed Bazoum as president. But on his return to Abidjan from the emergency summit in Nigeria's capital Abuja, Côte d'Ivoire's President Alassane Ouattara said, quote, "The chiefs of staff will have other conferences to finalize things, but they have the agreement of the Conference of Heads of State for the operation to start as soon as possible," unquote. Côte d'Ivoire would provide a battalion of 850 to 1,100 men alongside soldiers from Nigeria and Benin, and other countries would join them. Earlier in Abuja, ECOWAS Commission President Umar Toure had announced the deployment of the bloc's force. Earlier, we sought the perspectives of the Executive Director, West Africa Center for Counter-Terrorism, Mr. Mutaru Mumuni Mokhtar, on this development. Here are excerpts of that interview.
It was a huge and missed opportunity on the part of ECOWAS and the regional bloc to restore leadership or to display leadership in terms of restoring normalcy to Nigeria. Fundamentals on the ground does not support the idea that we could contain any, outcomes relating to the kind of military intervention that we're looking at. I think that yesterday's meeting was a huge opportunity for ECOWAS to walk back in terms of the inclusion of the military intervention as an option on the table in dealing with the situation in Nigeria. We do not have the capacity to contain the possible, consequences of a military intervention. We need to walk back in terms of exhausting all the diplomatic channels, the non-kinetic approach, the non-armed, combat approach dealing with the situation. If you notice, since July 30th, when ECOWAS first convened, to discuss what measures on the table to respond to the situation in Nigeria, they included the element of not just sanctions, but also the possibility of a military intervention. That from the start communicates situation of mistrust or anxiety on the part of the military leaders. ECOWAS continued to emphasize or include the elements of military intervention. And yesterday they went a step further to talk about activation of the ECOWAS standby force in dealing with the situation. That does not communicate goodwill on the part of ECOWAS. That does not communicate good faith in terms of negotiations. And so you would not have the military leadership, in terms of working and negotiating with the team. In fact, on Wednesday, we monitored the airspace of Niger, and we were able to catch or see an airplane that took off in Abuja towards Niger. When it reached the airspace of Niamey, it spent quite a number of minutes hovering in the air, trying to negotiate to land in Niger, in Niamey. They were not allowed, they were not permitted to land, and they had to make a turn back to Abuja. And that presumably was the ECOWAS team consisting of AU, African Union, and the UN. That was the third time such a situation had happened where the military leadership refused to meet with the delegation, because the approach adopted by the ECOWAS does not communicate goodwill and trust and faith in negotiations. And that would be a very complex situation for ECOWAS to handle from now going forward. ECOWAS needs to walk back in terms of the use of threats, the use of military intervention in dealing with the situation. This is not the first time we've had military interventions and military coups in the region. And these things usually are a product or reality on the ground. It's a manifestation of the anguish and frustrations of citizens and security officials in terms of managing the affairs of country. And so when that happens, you would have a huge challenge in trying to, upturn or undo what has happened. You need to employ diplomatic efforts, negotiations that are devoid of armed, conflict or armed, intervention, and ensure that people who command the legitimacy and goodwill of the Nigerian people are part of the negotiation team. I've just been told that the former central bank governor, Sanusi, was able to make touch with the military leadership and spoke to the military leader and had a good conversation about, moving forward in terms of dealing with the situation. That actor is an actor with, goodwill and legitimacy to deal with. And so they need to, constitute or do a new construction of the negotiation team in dealing with the situation. Other than that, the current approach seems to excessively and disproportionately focus on the idea of military intervention. That would not help us in reaching a resolution in Niger.
Some African leaders have already pledged military support. Do we foresee Ghana taking steps to this as well?
Well, everyone who means well for the region and for Ghana knows that we should not take that path. And I think the thinking in the Black House should not be about supporting this military situation in Niger. We need to maintain our non-aligned position in ensuring that, and actually not just maintaining a non-aligned position, but we need to prevail on all actors, including ECOWAS itself, to stand down and, do not resort to military intervention in Niger. If you're familiar with the security terrain within the SAP region, you would know that we have failed in the Sahel to deal with terrorism in the last 15 years. We have failed to deal with terrorism in the northeast of Nigeria. We have failed to deal with banditry in the northwest of Nigeria. Even in our own country, we have failed to deal with Boko for 17 years. How much more can we contain the reality of the military intervention in Niger? So we should not try it.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has voiced support for efforts of the West African bloc ECOWAS on Niger without explicitly backing its call at a summit for military intervention.
The United States has in recent days cautioned that military force should be only a last resort and that diplomacy was the best way to resolve the crisis. Mr. Antony Blinken said the United States will hold the junta that took power in Niger accountable for the safety of democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum, his family, and detained members of the government.
Military leaders who've undertaken this action and made clear to them the imperative of restoring constitutional order, as well as everything that's at risk if they don't. As significantly, ECOWAS, the organization that brings together West African countries, is playing a lead role in making clear the imperative of the return to constitutional order.
The possibility of military intervention in Niger has sparked debate within ECOWAS and warnings from neighboring Algeria as well as Russia.
EU, on the other hand, has criticized the worsening conditions of detained Niger President Mohamed Bazoum, calling for his immediate release after he was disposed in a coup. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell said President Mohamed Bazoum and his family, according to the latest information, have been deprived of food, electricity and medical care for several days. The news comes after U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called for a peaceful solution to reverse Niger's coup after the West African bloc ECOWAS approved a standby military force. Away from Niger, back home, this year's Basic Education Certificate Examination BECE for schools and private candidates ends today nationwide. The BECE for school candidates was held at 2,137 examination centers across the country, while 15 centers, mainly in regional capitals, were for private candidates. 600,714 candidates, comprising 300,323 males and 300,391 females from 18,993 participating schools registered for the school examination. Candidates of the 2023 Basic Education Certificate Examination say all went well with the conduct of the examination and are hopeful of making good grades. Scores of pupils were jubilating after the last paper on Friday, August 11, when GPC News visited some examination centers. The 2023 BECE is the last BECE under the objective-based curriculum, but not the end of the entrance exam into senior high school.
The paper wasn't good, and then also it wasn't bad. But we tried our possible best. We were afraid, but finally when we went through the exams room, we were not afraid again, and the paper was good. We enjoyed writing. After that, we decided to celebrate.
The paper was cool. Everything was simple. It was like primary questions. It was cool.
Somehow I was feeling nervous because this is my first time of writing BECE. So yes. It wasn't that difficult. It needed thinking. When you read more, you can answer more.
Oh, this paper there is good. Like the one I read, some answers came. Okay. The one they show us to some answers to scheme. So we thank God for like writing our BEC. Like
I was somehow nervous, but when I saw the questions there, I said that it was cool.
When I didn't see the paper, I was so scared. But after I get the paper, I was see that the answer was not difficult. So I was able to.
We are happy. The exams have gone successfully, and all my mates, they are happy because they know the results will come. It will be very good. So all of us, we are happy.
You say congratulations to them. Following floods that cut off Wale Wale from Nalerigu in the northeast region, a contractor is currently on site to fix the bridge that collapsed at Tenguri Banli community on the Nalerigu Wale Wale road. The situation rendered some residents in the affected communities homeless. Passengers traveling from Wale Wale to Nalerigu and adjoining towns were left stranded. Here's a report by our Upper East regional correspondent, Peter Agrengre.
What is happening at the Tanguli Banli community in the northeast region? Community members have come out here to support others who want to cross the road. This is the only place that they can be using for now to cross to the other parts of the community. And so it is due to the havoc that was caused from the torrential rainfall that happened here in northeast region. People coming from Nalerigu, others going from Wale Wale to Nalerigu would have to patronize or have to pass here because the other side of the road has been cut off due to the rainfall. The minister has informed us also that it will take 2 weeks maximum for them to be able to fix the place.
Not many would have thought that we'll be able to deploy contractors today, but you can see they are busy working, and I believe that given 2 weeks maximum, the road will be motorable. They are also thinking of constructing a belly bridge at the other side of the road to allow for some movement of people and goods. That will give enough time for them to do actual construction work on this side. So what you are seeing is more of a temporal measure. The youth are also here in their numbers. You can see that they are helping them to carry the people or even carry their luggage across. That is the community service that they are offering to the people here until the main road is fixed.
When we send you across, anything you have, you then give us so that we can able to watch, to help you cross the river.
Until they are able to fix the road at the other side, we'll continue to ensure that we monitor the situation and get you updated as and when it is necessary.
Over the last 5 years, farmers across West Africa have received training for a more productive farming and agro-business. Dubbed the West African Farmer-to-Farmer Program, the move was also to ensure an equitable agricultural systems and opportunity for a cross-border to people interaction. At the close-out session in Accra, beneficiaries were encouraged to continue to work together to achieve the shared growth to improve food security in the country.
Introduced in 2018 to agro-processors and farmer cooperative across the regions, the West African Farmer-to-Farmer F2F has created a positive and transformative impact in agricultural communities in Ghana. Over the past 5 years, the F2F has trained over 500 male and more than 900 female farmers and agro-processors. The program introduced innovation and developed local capacity for more productive and equitable agricultural systems while providing opportunity for cross-border people-to-people interaction. At the close-out session in Accra, the country director of Winrock International, Madame Mina Lassie, said the program has strengthened government's efforts to effectively promote the management of post-harvest losses and add value to agricultural products.
Implementation was smooth until 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic caused a temporary halt to the conventional in-person mobilization of American volunteers. This led to the development of innovations such as remote trainings, which later evolved into paired assignment model to allow the program to continue.
The Director of Mission at USAID, Mr. Douglas Steinberg, said F2F strengthens intercultural relationships, improving access to safe and nutritious foods while breaking cultural divides. He urged the beneficiaries to build on the success achieved.
I'm proud of the work that we have accomplished together. We have made significant progress in improving agriculture productivity, increasing access to markets, and promoting sustainable practices.
The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture in charge of crops, Mr. Yao Frimpong Ado, said agriculture continued to be the backbone of the country's economy, while urging the beneficiaries to work together to drive Ghana's agricultural sector to new heights. He said value addition and post-harvest handling continue to be a challenge which needs urgent attention in the country.
Food security is a fundamental concern for any nation, and Ghana is not an exception. Ensuring that all our citizens, especially women, children, and other vulnerable groups, have access to nutritious and sufficient food is at the core of our agricultural policies.
After 5 years of support, the chairperson of the Renewable Women's Association, Madame Victoria Ugan, said she no longer buys fertilizers but can make her own organic fertilizers for their farms. Since 1991, Windrock volunteers have completed over 6,600 assignments in 59 countries, including Ghana, Guinea, Liberia, Mali, Nigeria, and Senegal. The F2F, an initiative of Windrock International, was funded globally by the United States Agency for International Development.
The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, NEP, is disbursing a second tranche of funds to support the youth in agriculture. This forms part of government's response to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on farmers under the Ghana Cares Obatampa program. Beneficiaries will receive amounts ranging between 10,000 Ghana cedis to 100,000 Ghana cedis. 500 applicants from across the country are benefiting from the funds.
Agriculture has been identified as an important economic pillar in Ghana's development agenda. Hence, policies and programs have been rolled out to encourage, especially the youth, to engage and invest in the trade. One of such programs is the Youth in Innovative Agriculture Program, a sub-project under the Ghana Cares Obatampa program being run by the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, NEIP. So far, 24,000 youth across the country have been trained and supported with a first tranche of funds under the program in 2022. Currently, a second tranche of funds is being disbursed to about 500 youth under the program. The Chief Executive of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Mr. Kofi Ofosu-Nkansah, said the fund is to cushion the youth in their businesses, especially those in the agricultural sector.
We did a call for application to attract young people onto the program, and as many as 40,000 young people expressed interest, and we were able to train 24,000 of them. We've had beneficiaries from all 16 regions of the country. We trained them in 40 agriculture training institutions across the country in all the 16 regions. Last year, we did disbursement to about 500 beneficiaries, and currently we are doing another 500. We phased the disbursement because government doesn't have all the funds at a go.
Some beneficiaries spoke with GBC News.
Agriculture requires a lot of money, and there are a lot of opportunity in agribusiness. But most of the time, we the youth, sometimes we try to look for more greener pastures instead of considering agriculture.
I intend to expand my maize farm. That will help me to be able to employ other people. I want to encourage my fellow young ladies who are sitting at home, not doing anything, and then because of lack of funds and and then unemployed, they go around giving themselves to men. So I want to reduce that issue, that this grant will help me to be able to employ those young ladies.
The 100 billion Ghana cedis COVID-19 alleviation and revitalization of enterprises support CARES Obantapa program is a 3.5-year comprehensive program to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, return the country to a sustained path of robust growth, and to create a more resilient and transformed economy.
A mock parliament was organized at the University of Cape Coast for 3 selected institutions of higher learning: the University of Cape Coast, Takrady Technical University, and the Cape Coast Technical University. It formed part of activities marking 30 years of uninterrupted parliamentary democracy in Ghana. They debated on the motion, has the introduction of artificial intelligence and smartphones made students and researchers lazy?
Ghana has remained exemplary in parliamentary democracy in Africa since she adopted the 1992 Constitution. As Parliament marks 30 years of parliamentary democracy under the Fourth Republic, it is taking the celebration around the country with a number of events. At Cape Coast, and in remarks about Parliament's journey thus far, Central Regional Minister Madame Justina Marigold Assan said it is important for all Ghanaians to support the country's democratic journey and protect her image as a beacon of peace.
Over the years, Parliament has evolved and the number of parliamentary seats increased to 275 in the current Parliament, which is the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic, with 40 women out of the 275 membership of the House, making it the highest number of female representation